Some organizations have mission statements. Some organizations have paragraphs that no one reads. How many of you can relate with that? Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Today, I'm going to share to you about developing a mission according to Toastmasters way. Toastmasters believe the way to develop a mission is to first brainstorm with everyone and talk about shared values and shared beliefs, and then come up with multiple drafts onto a mission in that organization. And it could be an organization of two, like me and my wife, or an organization of hundreds and thousands. But it's supposed to be a process in which we talk about our values, our beliefs. We talk about it, we have ownership, then we put some things in writing, and then after multiple drafts, we come up with a mission statement. That is the theory according to Toastmasters. So that's what Toastmasters preach. So there is a matter of preaching, and there is a matter of what they actually do. Here's an example. The Toastmasters Club mission. The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a supportive and positive learning. You guys know the time is 13, 14, and 15. The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. That's an example of a mission statement. If you look at the mission statement, do you notice how it's very similar to the UK Big Blue mission statement? UK mission statement just go, they took away the mission of a Toastmasters Club is to, they just go, UK Big Blue Toastmasters provides a supportive and positive learning experience in which each member, so instead of which members, each member is empowered. But everything else is the same, to develop communication skills and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Lexington Toastmasters have the exact same thing, except instead of saying UK Big Blue, it's Lexington Toastmasters provides, and everything is the same again, except instead of which members, in which each member. Instead of are is to match the subject verb. Sunrise Toastmasters, they didn't even say sunrise. They just used that exact same mission statement, word for word. So in theory, a proper developed mission statement should be, we talk about our values, we talk about our beliefs, we go through a process of talking, and we come up with words and drafts and multiple drafts, then we have a mission statement. But I notice even with Toastmasters, we actually just use one and hardly change much. So mission statements can go through this process, but what actually happens a lot of time is something in writing already done. But we can talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. And then pretty soon everyone knows you're going to join Toastmasters. You realize you want to develop communication skills. That is to speak so that you can have at least more self-confidence. And so that you can perform better in your jobs, you get promotions, you might even become a professional speaker, and get thousands of dollars per keynote speech. So I tend to go the second way instead of this sharing, because over the years, I'm in different school districts and different schools. They always try to go through this process. They do a value. I find it's better to just have a mission statement like Toastmasters, and you just repeat it, share it over and go define the terms, and just share it and read it and go over it instead of something that no one reads. Here's my example. Me and my wife, to inspire the members of our church. Now, this is actually not my mission statement. It's the mission statement, one of the mission statements concerning migration to strengthen churches. To inspire the members of our church to migrate to Europe by 3 ways: to pray, to give, to physically go, to fulfill Matthew 24:14. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached to the whole inhabited earth for a testimony to the nations, and then the end will come. So this one is already given to all the churches. We have about 2,000 churches that I'm affiliated with, including 700 from in Russia and growing. So the feeling, at least without my affiliation and our definition of interpretation of the Bible in Matthew 24:14, we believe that there will be a last revival in Europe. And because there will be a final revival before a man of lawlessness, a man that is so charismatic and so strong, tends to be a person of peace, making a peace pact 7 years with Israel. And then in the middle of the 7 years, break that covenant and start killing and imprisoning Christians and Jews and Catholics and Muslims. Anyone that has any religious belief will be imprisoned and killed, according to our interpretation. And because of that, but because of Matthew 24:14, there will be the widespread preaching of the gospel of the kingdom for a testimony to the nations, and then the end will come. So because of this, Matthew 24:14, other verses talk about the man of lawlessness, the Antichrist, coming up from Europe. This verse is saying before he can come up, there will be a large revival, a final revival in Europe before he can rise up. And because of that, I've been preaching on that about 30 or 40 years. And when I first heard that, it did not register, but over the years, after 30 or 40 years, about 4 years ago, I began to have a feeling to migrate to Europe. Why I picked Malaga, Spain? Because it's the warmest winter in all of Europe. If you type it up, which is the city is the warmest winter in Europe, Malaga will stand out. Why I picked the warmest? Because we already migrated from California after my 26 years. I'm very happy there. I was making 120,000 as a teacher over there. I don't need to move. We're very happy. We're very, very happy, very comfortable. But because there was a call for 300 of us to migrate to Middle America, because there are 10 cities with churches who are weak. So we are one of the 300 and one of 30 that migrate to Lexington. And in 3 or 4 months, 5 years ago, we doubled the church. Right now it's thriving. It's over 70. So, but what I learned is that after 1 year, my wife cannot stand the cold winter, to the point where she'd feel like we need to move to Florida or something like that. And because of that, I picked the warmest city in Europe, warmest winter, because I want her to be able to survive. When I first talked to her, she was ready to stone me to death about 4 years ago. I said, you know, my darling, migrating to Lexington is great. It's our only time, and we did it for the Lord. Other times we were going here and there. We got married, we got this. I got promoted to assistant principal, moved from Southern California, Northern California. Then we went to there because there was a good investment, and we bought a house there. Then we come back and here and there. I said, this is the first time we moved here, but it should not be our only time. I think we should also think about migrating to Europe, at least one more migration. She was ready to stone me to death 4 years ago, and I mean stone me to death. I kept talking to her. After 4 years, it's been this fifth year, I talked to her for 4 years. 3 months ago, she said, all right, let's go and visit Malaga, Spain. So it's from stoning to death to open, to soften up. I went there. Anyway, we'll talk more about it on the next slide. According to Toastmasters theory is that we need to communicate the mission statement, put it in writing, talk about the mission all the time, explain the benefits, be enthusiastic about the mission, describe how specific activities achieve the mission. Now I applied it to our mission to Malaga. 24:14 is already written. This gospel of the kingdom shall be preached to the whole inhabited earth for testimony to the nations, and then the end will come. I talked with my wife for over 4 years, from being extremely angry at me to being open to let's go and visit and see how it looks like. Let's spy out the land. What are the benefits? Preparation for the Lord's return. According to the Bible, if we do the Father's will, not just doing good works, but if we follow the Spirit, we follow the Lord, and we follow the Father's divine nature in us, be ye perfect as my heavenly Father is perfect. Follow the Father's life, which is in the Spirit. Then we will inherit a reward to reign with Christ 1,000 years in the millennial kingdom. How do we specifically do it? By praying and by giving. How about the specific praying and monthly giving? Why do I not talk about the third way of migrating physically in person? I'll show you why. So this is Malaga, Spain. It's right there. You see that? There's Africa. What is in the red? That's Malaga. Southern part, most part of Spain, Europe. Has the warmest winter in Europe. That's Malaga in red. It's near the beach. It has a lot of good things, but it has one or 2 points that is a no-go for us. If you look at this picture of Malaga, you see there's a big stadium, and you see a lot of those buildings, high-rise buildings. What do you think those high-rise buildings are? You think they are office buildings or they are high-rise apartments? Have a guess. Anyone want to guess? They are 100% apartments. This is the reason why me and my wife will stay in America, here in Lexington. And we will just pray, and we will just give, and give monthly. I won't reduce my offering to the church in Lexington, but I also have a Social Security retirement income. Not a lot, but I'll give a percentage of that monthly to Malaga. That's a specific activity to go by praying and by giving. Why not physically? Because maybe I could handle a little apartment, but my wife cannot. All her life, she lived in big houses. We have a 5-bedroom house right now, can hold 45 people in the living room with a 10,000 square feet big yard for dogs to run about. For her to be in a little shack that we visit 2 homes, one in the elder's home, elder and his wife's home, and one in the so-called well-to-do home. It just cannot do it. I could see in my wife's face. Anyway, but not everything is bad. It's just Because they're half the size of Lexington and they got 1 million people, they don't have one bedroom, they don't have family homes, but they have great food and very good prices in the supermarket. Because they're near the beach, they have all kinds of seafood. So there you have it. That's how you develop a mission statement. You use the second way. Have it so, speak it so much in writing, talk about it like me and my wife did for 4 years. Now you could have a mission statement where somebody understands and reads it. Back to you.